Good morning, everybody. Time for an update. Now, I'm not a pilot, okay, and I'm not a sailor, but anyone I'm sure who has flown a plane or sailed out in the open ocean, or maybe even, I guess you could also use the example of a hiker out in the forest, out in the woods, where in those situations, flying a plane, sailing, hiking through dense forest, you might be in a situation where visually you can easily lose your way. You can lose sense of your position. Okay, when you're flying a plane, could be nighttime, could be foggy, cloudy. You don't have visuals to the ground. Same thing out on the ocean. It could be disorienting. I'm a scuba diver, so there can be times when conditions are such that you almost don't know which way is up and which way is down. Certainly underwater, to navigate, you need a compass. So a compass is an instrument that guides you when your own senses are unable to guide you. Same thing in a plane. People who fly, pilots, as they get their certification, they move up to instrument rating. Same thing in navigation out on the ocean. Okay, so sometimes you visually or through your senses can't get a reading on your position just because conditions are such that it makes it difficult. Now, in navigating the markets, that sometimes becomes difficult as well. Don't forget, the markets are pushed around by the behavior of people, and as I have been pointing out to you so many times, the behavior can be irrational, it can be based on misinformation or lack of understanding. I talk about the 100% and how they're wrong every single time. And what can make this even more difficult is when you get into a situation like the dog days of summer, what we're in right now. Very slow trading, very lethargic trading. We had this big run up in stocks to new highs. It looked like commodities were really starting to move up. You had metals prices moving up. You had even industrial metal prices moving up. Oil coming back off a correction. And now suddenly it seems like some of these trends have lost their direction. This is the time as traders, two things. One, we can be disoriented by these developments. It could cause us to kind of lose direction or lose a feel for which way the market is headed, and it could make us vulnerable to the wrong interpretation. Yesterday I talked about people have been asking me, is there a discrepancy between my employment and withholding tax data and those being put out by like CNBC and Warren Mosley? There's not. So it's at times like these when it can be confusing, it can become unclear, it can be disorienting. You can be prone to maybe lulled into changing your view because the market looks like it's going to do something. I always love when people say to me, hey, it looks like it's going down, or it looks like, if we can trade based on how something just looks, I mean, we'd own the world in a very short period of time. So these are the times when you have to go back to your instruments, okay? What are our instruments? Our instruments are the data that we rely on, the hard data, the things that I look at, which have proven time and time again to be the correct leaders for these macro trends. And I'm talking about the fiscal flows, okay? The spending, all the things that I look at. So, what do we have going on right now? We have pullback in gold. We have oil drifting lower. We have some commodities selling off now. We have the dollar rallying, right? It almost looks like we have some creeping deflation coming back into the situation. Stocks are up, yes, but everything else that kind of looks like deflation are things that could easily pull us off course in our forecast, in our outlook. So that's when you have to go back to the data. The data does not lie. And I've helped you through so many difficult situations this year by staying focused on the data. When others were panicking, when others were selling, when others were saying, this or that, I said, you got to buy. You got to stay with it. The trends are still in force. And I'm saying this right now. So what you see happening with the dollar, getting stronger, that's wrong, okay? What you see happening with gold coming down, almost kind of an indication of deflation, that's wrong, okay? What you see happening with stocks right now, that's right. However, I really hope the cockroaches come back soon and give us a little correction in here. What you see happening in industrial commodity prices, drifting back down, that's wrong, okay? So, I'm making another bold call here. You got to go in on these counter trend developments that we're seeing right now. You got to sell the dollar. You got to buy gold. And again, I'm no big fan of gold, but we're going on the basis of very high levels of government spending now. It's inflationary. By the way, treasuries drifting back up again, right? Rates drifting back down. Got to go against that. So, what's happening? I'm relying on my instruments. It's nighttime. It has become foggy out there. We're in the deep underbrush of the jungle. We can't see direction. I'm underwater. I don't know which way is up or down. I don't know north, south, east, and west. Got to look at my compass, okay? All those things apply. Everything is going to revert back to the principal trend. Don't worry. And 2 weeks from now, a week from now, a month from now, when you see everything where it was, just remember what I told you today. Because it's going to be, like everything else I told you, it's going to be right. All right? See you later. Bye-bye.